In Bakuman, a manga created by Tsugumi Oba and Takeshi Obata of Death Note fame, there's this great scene where the manga author main characters discover this concept of serious humor. The idea is that the characters in a story will be facing challenges and situations that they take gravely seriously, but these situations will be ridiculous enough to be funny to a reader. In a way, the fact that the characters in this world take their ridiculous situations so seriously is what makes it so funny to the audience. I think the Super Smash Bros. Series definitely has a little bit of this going on. In all of the cinematics and marketing materials for these games, the characters seem to be earnestly entering into battle with their honor at stake. But when you see the look of sheer terror in the squidling's eyes, you can't help but laugh at the ridiculousness of what you're being shown. There's a delicate balance of elements going on underneath the surface here as the creators of these games nail down exactly what the tone of each of these games is going to be. One of the elements, the one that we're going to focus on in this video, is obviously the the music. Smash Bros. Music has to walk a really fine line in order to fit the tone of these games. It's a pretty goofy series that involves sending cartoon foxes flying into the sky, but it doesn't necessarily have a goofy aesthetic. These characters do seem to take this world very seriously, and the music should reflect that intensity, but at the same time, the music can't be so melodramatic as to make each match feel like a life or death situation. The characters aren't so serious that they won't applaud the winner of each match, after all, even if some of them aren't so happy about it. Let's take a look at a few of the musical elements that I think contribute to the overall tone of this world. Harmonically, we see this progression come up a lot. A minor 1 chord, going to a major 4 chord, then going to a flat 6 and flat 7 chord, all over a tonic bass pedal. Take a listen to it in the menu music from Super Smash Bros. Melee. There are a few things going on here. First of all, the minor key helps establish a serious quality, but the immediate introduction of the major 4 chord with the raised 6th scale degree even being highlighted in the melody provides some levity. We're not looking at a dark piece of music here, just a minor one. The classic flat 6 to flat 7 to 1 walk-up is another harmonic move that is clearly serious without being dark, and it's such a common cadence in action and adventure music that it also pretty much tells us that we're playing an action game. The interesting part to me is the tonic bass pedal underneath the whole progression. It adds a slight edge, keeping the adventurous feeling but adding an extra level of intensity to the proceedings. Rhythmically, these pieces usually create a driving energy by putting big syncopated stabs in the lower voices, like in the Super Smash Bros. For Wii U theme. Notice the use of the same chord progression that I pointed out in Melee's menu theme. The rhythm of the accompaniment adds an obvious drive to the piece that's perfect for a game so focused on action, but the rhythm of the melody also does a lot to create some musical momentum. These 16th note pickups into each note, reminiscent of Melee's menu theme, propel the melody forward. Just listen to how it sounds if these rhythms are straightened out a little. Ugh. This 3-note rhythm of 2 dotted 8th notes followed by a regular 8th note is also a very common way to create rhythmic energy, and we see it used as a main rhythmic motif in the main theme for the upcoming Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Listen to how this rhythm, as well as the other 16th note pickup rhythm, are used over top of the same 1 major 4, flat 6, flat 7 chord progression to preserve the tone of the series. One final similarity I want to point out is the basic structure of all of these pieces. All of the tunes we've listened to thus far follow the same formula of having these intense, driving A sections that contrast with a more emotive B section, flattening out the rhythms with lush harmonic pads that move to the flat 6 of the key to evoke a bright, Lydian kind of sound. See what I mean in Smash Bros. Ultimate's main theme. Smash Bros. For Wii U's theme opens up in a very similar way, using a chord progression that we can see the composer of the new Ultimate theme must have found very, inspiring. Again, moving to the flat 6 chord in a minor key is the most surefire way to make something sound emotional, and this move up to the following slash chord really emphasizes this bright Lydian color. This harmonic move must be pretty inspiring because we find this exact bridge progression used in Super Smash Bros. Melee's intro music to once again provide a lusher, more emotive contrast to a driving C minor A section. It's easy to see what these pieces all have in common, and to see how these elements affect the emotional tone of the music, but it can be just as helpful to see what two contrasting pieces do differently, and to try and pinpoint how these different decisions made throughout the composition process influence a work. You've probably noticed two big absences in this video so far, but I've been holding off talking about the original N64 and Wii titles until now because of just how different the tone of each game's music is from the other entries in the series. The original Super Smash Bros. Doesn't really have a main theme to speak of, and the original music that it does have is generally pretty upbeat and funky. I think this sort of goes along with the more colorful toy box aesthetic of the game itself, but you can feel that the game is missing something emotionally that later installments in the series capture really well. Super Smash Bros. Brawl goes the complete opposite direction as its main theme ramps up the drama and intensity almost too high for a Smash Bros. Game. We still have some superficial elements in common with the rest of the series, but just as many differences. The piece is in a minor key, but the bright raised 6th and major 4 chords are replaced with a more harmonic minor sound, with these flattened 6th and dominant 5 to minor 1 chords evoking a much darker and more classical sound. The piece is written in a similar tempo, and a driving snare drum part brings some rhythmic momentum, but the use of almost entirely quarter note and eighth note rhythms in the melody shifts the tone of the music from one of youthful energy to something more thoughtful. There is a more subdued bridge section to contrast the dark A section, but rather than jumping to some colorful Lydian harmony, we sink down into this choral soli section written in the relative major key of E major, which is potentially one of the most beautiful 8 bars of music I've ever heard. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore this piece of music. It was written by legendary composer Nobuo Uematsu, and it's an incredibly strong composition that's just so satisfying to listen to from beginning to end. But honestly, I don't think it fits Smash Bros. Very well. When this beautiful choral interlude is punctuated with Wario's big fat butt falling from the sky, I just can't help but laugh at how ridiculous it is. Like, look. Let's put the Smash Bros. Ultimate theme behind Brawl's opening cinematic. Doesn't that just fit so much better? I don't know if Nintendo gave Uematsu more creative license with Brawl's theme than they would usually give to composers with less of a pedigree, or if they just wanted to take it in a totally different direction, or what. I mean, even if Brawl isn't the most fondly remembered Smash Bros. Game, it was definitely one of the most ambitious. And if nothing else, this main theme shows just how willing they were to try something new with it. In these videos, and in my life in general, I think I have the tendency to get fixated on the minutiae of a subject and lose sight of the bigger picture. But in the end, all that really matters, all of the theory you learn, all of the craft you hone, all of the animations you tweak, all of the mechanics you implement, none of that stuff matters if you can't connect emotionally with an audience, and setting the right tone for your work, whether it's music or a game, is the first step in that process. If you enjoyed the video and want to support the channel, feel free to check out my Patreon here. If you never ever want to see me tweet, feel free to follow me on Twitter because honestly, it won't make a difference. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.